Now, a short while ago, I spoke to the local police chief, Duncan Police Chief Danny Ford. Of course, thanked him for his time.
Not a problem.
What has happened here? It's an horrendous report we're getting. What do you know of what's happened?
On Friday at 2:57 p.m., we received a 911 call from a lady that was located on North 10th, just south of what we call Twilight Beach Road. Advised that there was a young man that had staggered over into the side of the road, and that she was there and she believed he'd been shot. Another lady also stopped and was administering CPR to Christopher. We arrived within about 3 to 4 minutes, and our officer took over the CPR. Our fire EMS responded. When they arrived, they started life support and transported by ambulance to Duncan Regional. Probably about an hour later, maybe not quite that long, we were notified that he had died. And we began the crime scene, obviously, at that time, and we talked with a number of neighbors who heard a shot. They heard a car accelerate. They heard squealing of tires, and at that intersection of North Country Club and Twilight Beach, at least 2 people believed that they saw a black car turn westbound on Twilight Beach Road. And one of the clues for us there was that anyone that turned down that road had to know the road, because it literally, at about 2 blocks, it looks like it dead ends. It does not dead end, but it winds around through some houses and then comes out on a main artery, which is US Highway 81, coming into Duncan.
Okay. Now, you have 3 young men in custody, is that correct?
Yeah, we have 3 people that we have provided the district attorney with affidavits of murder in the first degree.
How old are they?
15, 16, and 17.
Good grief. Good grief. Now, what, any indication on motive or why this has happened?
The initial information we had was that Christopher had jogged north on Country Club Road, and that they were at a residence. They saw him go by. They didn't have, I'm sure he didn't know anyone there. And they went and got in their car and drove up about a quarter of a mile. He'd be on about a quarter mile down the road. They drove up behind him and shot him. We did have a break about an hour ago. One of the investigators got a call from the Stevens County Jail. One of the driver of the car had decided he wanted to talk to us. He gave us full details. He said they basically were going to kill somebody, and unfortunately, he was the one that they saw when they made that decision.
So they've just gone out to kill somebody?
Yeah, that's it.
That's extraordinary. Have you ever come across something like this before?
I've been at this 29 years, and I will tell you that the old law enforcement of there's always some kind of motive does not stick with some folks anymore, especially the younger group. So to answer your question, I won't tell you that I've seen really, here lately there's been some pretty, I'd say, weak motives, but I don't know that I've had one that they told us they were just going to kill somebody.
And why? Is it just for a thrill, just for fun?
I think some of the information we have, Facebook information, a number of things that investigators are working on, it seems to make people feel like they're somebody if they choose to be the bad guy and go out. And I guess sometimes the old adage that we have here is bad attention is better than no attention at all. And that's horrible to say, but that seems to be the direction.
Is it a safe area where he was jogging? Would you normally feel safe?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it's a very the homes up there are very substantial financial outlays. I mean, it's a high dollar area of homes. On the west side of the road, on the east side of the road, it is still somewhat rural, but there's a number of very factors of very large home very near there that's fairly new that I wouldn't even want to guess what it costs.
Well, these 3, do they live in that area?
No, they do not live in that area. They were at a house in the area, but they do not live in the area.
Do they have police records, are you aware?
We've had prior run-ins with them. Keep in mind they're juvenile, so they have juvenile records, and I don't have that information. I just know that we've had other incidents with them where we've dealt with them.
Any suggestion of drugs being involved?
No, everyone asks that question. There is no drugs, there is no alcohol involved.
And what sort of weapon was used?
We believe, and we have been told in the last hour, which we thought all along, it probably was a small caliber gun. We believe it's a revolver, 22 caliber, or in that area. I hesitate on that simply because ME didn't call me till yesterday afternoon late, and they were ready to release the body, and I have not got the ME's report.
Okay. I assume it's not legal at that age to have a firearm, is it?
No, they've been known. This age group's been known to have. They basically steal what they get.
Yeah. What sort of penalties do these three face if convicted?
The 16 and 17-year-old, there's a law in Oklahoma basically that says that if you're there in the commission of a crime, whether you're the one that actually pulls the trigger or not, you're subject to the same level of punishment as the person that, in this case, pulled the trigger. So they're all subject to first-degree murder.
And what's the penalty for that in your state?
Up to death in Oklahoma.
Up to death. I assume that'd be unusual at this age, though, wouldn't
it? I can tell you, one of the other stations asked me that, and I said the oldest person on death row in Oklahoma was Sean Sellers, who killed his parents and stepdad a number of years ago, 30 years ago, 25, something like that, and he was put to death.
Okay. So the assumption here is the shooter was the 15-year-old, is it?
That was the initial assumption. I believe the information now is probably, let me check my notes here just a second before I tell you that. I believe I know the person's name, and I have it here in front of me. Just let me look. He is a 16-year-old. Going to be the 16-year-old.
Okay, so the 16s pulled the trigger, and the 15 and 17 faced the same penalties because they were there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, look, I really thank you for speaking to us. It's just you can imagine how it's horrified the whole country here.
Yeah, we have a city that's devastated because they basically, this morning in the churches and stuff, it was like this. We don't do this to people, and there's outrage.
So you're normally a pretty safe city?
Yeah, I told someone earlier on an interview. I haven't looked, but I doubt we have a homicide a year on the average.
Really? Good grief. So you really wonder what's influenced these three, don't you, to do something like this?
Yeah, I think we'll have maybe more on that later. Maybe looking at some of the postings and stuff that they've made. I'm not familiar with where all the postings are at. I did visit one of the investigators earlier this morning, and they are in possession of some of that type of material.
Do you know anything of the background of the three? I mean, do they come from poor backgrounds? Are they middle class, or do you know anything about them?
They come from at least one of them. I'm absolutely certain. I know. I don't know where the dad's at. I know the mother is in prison. The others, I'm not real familiar with their parents. Okay.
Well, look, I thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you speaking to us.
You bet.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The police chief, Danny Ford, Duncan police chief, Danny Ford.